Okay, first off, happy Valentine's Day. This was, of course, the Valentine's Day edition of Raw, as well as the Go Home Raw for the Elimination Chamber. They started out really strong with a pretty solid CM Punk Cena match. Ironically, almost every match they had was a good, solid match. Now, Jerry the King Lawler wasn't there because, as you might have heard, I believe his mother passed. So, thoughts and prayers are definitely with Jerry the King Lawler during this time. So instead you had Josh Matthews filling in for his spot, and you could kind of tell that Cole just really overpowers Matthews, like, throughout the whole night. And of course you had to see all the different people who parts of the Elimination Chamber were involved in matches. The Sheamus Orton match, really good, solid match. As well as the match that had Nexus taking on Morrison and Truth. Morrison, is showing, blistering around his eyes from the spray attack he took. And those two guys steamrolled Nexus. Just entirely demolished them. And speaking of demolishing, Mark Henry was coming down and he got obliterated by Sheamus. Essentially kind of, getting back at what happened last week when Mark Henry attacked Sheamus. So you had some solid match work there. You also had The Miz took on Bryan Daniels in a fantastic match. Daniel looked like he was going to win this match at like 7 or 8 times, which is how you do a match like that. He still lost to The Miz, but he came off looking undeniably credible. All of these matches tonight were actually were above standard for what you see on Raw. Now we also had the Divas match, Divas title match, which for some strange reason was changed into a Lumberjill match. Not bad by Divas standards, but Eve retained through probably one of the most bizarre counters I've ever seen. Natalya was going for the La Magistral Cradle, and it looked like Eve kind of blocked it by like laying down on her. Okay. So Natalya couldn't power out of that? What made that actually interesting is that afterwards, the Bella Twins attacked Eve, which then led to a save by Gail Kim and Natalya. It's good. Bella Twins as heels are infinitely more entertaining than they ever were as faces. It's not really saying much, but they're actually doing something with them now. Had them dressed in black because, heels tend to wear darker colors. They also did more of the 22111 spoofs, little promos. Now, as was mentioned earlier, it heavily seems like that refers to The Undertaker. And of course, in this one, as they're showing a man in a trench coat, and showing from like here down, and there's no face paint, there's just long black hair. And occasionally when they show distance shots, there's a guy wearing the Undertaker hat, looking a lot like the Undertaker, walking around a place and you're hearing, no grave can hold my body down, which again would symbolize the Undertaker, since the last time we saw him he was buried alive. So again, I guess that's leaning more towards it's the Undertaker. Now, of course, they ended this one with 2 things. The announcement of who is the guest host for WrestleMania. And after Orton defeated Sheamus, there was a standard, well, Nexus hit the range, try to clear them out. Try to, get in some last hits, last licks. Which then had Morrison and Truth come down. And they tried to do what they could. Cena came down. CM Punk tried to sneak in and hit a GTS on Orton. Next you know, you have Orton, Punk, and Cena in the ring at the same time. Orton fights out of the GTS, tosses him at Cena. Cena hits an AA because earlier in the night, Punk got the win over Cena with the GTS. Really great back and forth match. They're playing Punk as a fantastic heel. They're using his stable to his advantage. And then a limo showed up, and it was time to announce who the guest host WrestleMania is going to be. So the lights went dark, and the crowd kind of got more excited. And then all of a sudden you heard this ever so familiar phrase about a man who, beyond being known for being one of the most electrifying man in the world of entertainment, not just sports entertainment now, the great one, the people's champ, and a phenomenal chef, because I guess we're always smelling what he's cooking. A man who I never really saw eye to eye with, being a Triple H fan. So the guest host for WrestleMania is The Rock. So The Rock comes out to an ovation that even sent chills up my spine. I was sitting at home. I'm in Illinois, they were in California. And he pretty much preened around the ring for like 5 minutes with the crowd just going nuts. Did his, finally the Rock has come back to Anaheim after a 7-year hiatus, back home, all of his standard stuff. And it was good. The Rock is still in phenomenal shape. And he is the host of WrestleMania. So Vince is kind of pulling all the stops. So next week, I guess The Undertaker will return. Also be the fallout from the Elimination Chamber. So this was an absolutely solid, go-home match for the Chamber. As well as go to also help build up what's going to happen at WrestleMania. And I guess the next week is going to be Chamber. And then next week we'll probably see the return of The Undertaker. Sorry everyone who wanted Sting. If Sting comes, it probably won't be on the 21st.